Welcome back to 22 Savage TV. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe. I appreciate all your support. So this is going to be a mid-season review. Since we just wrapped up week 7, in the terms of fantasy, will be at the halfway point of the season. There are only 14 weeks during the regular season in fantasy football, and then the playoffs will start in week 15 and go up until the penultimate week of the season, meaning the second to last week of the season, which actually is now going to be week 17. Obviously they added an extra game, so there's a week 18 this year, but the championship round should be week 17. And so with that being said, again, the final regular season game will take place week 14 in terms of fantasy football. So that officially puts us at the halfway point of the fantasy football season. So I just kind of wanted to do a review, a recap of pretty much my season so far. I won't go into all of my ops and how their season has been going. We'll see some of that because there are a few points that I want to make, in terms of how to compile the roster that will produce such a season. Obviously through waivers, through your draft, which is number one actually. Your draft had to have been solid. That's why, again, I gotta stress to you guys, go watch the draft recap video that I did. It's really insightful, really powerful. And again, you'll see how I compiled this. I don't really want to sound braggadocious, but I mean, you guys see it here. 6-1, first place in my division, the Slimes, of course. Y'all see Go Tinks right there, man. So anyway, I want to start actually by reviewing week 7, my last matchup, because it's gonna sort of tie in together, bring home all the points that I want to make. Again, how I compiled this roster that's been pretty much demoralizing all my competition. Last week, was a heck of a week for me. I had what they called in the mainstream media, I noticed a lot of them were saying bye Mageddon. It was a lot of teams, a lot of good teams had bye weeks. The Cowboys, the Bills, the Steelers, the Chargers, they were all on bye. I think the Vikings as well. So, a lot of good teams, a lot of good players were obviously off in week 7. And so you really had to kind of have a lot of contingency plans in place. I know for me personally, as you guys can see, obviously these are my week 8 starters, but I had no Zeke, no Amari Cooper, no Zach Moss, and yet and still I was still able to win in a pretty convincing fashion, as you can see here. So let me just click on this little matchup right here. Let me see how we were able to get that done. I don't normally do, a weekly review of each matchup that I've had. I could start doing that. Again, it's all dependent on you guys' support. I can't stress that enough. You guys have to like and share this content, put it on all your social media. Really, let's really get this thing taken off. It's a fun little thing that I'm doing. But again, you guys' support would really go a long, long way into helping grow the channel, and this information should get out there. You guys, there's a lot of rewards to be had, in terms of fantasy football. This is a booming industry. A lot of people are jumping on board, playing, and so there are a lot of a lot of goodies out there, a lot of cash and prizes. And so, if you guys want to, get that insight, get that inside scoop, I mean, you're in the right place. You want a team full of savages, which is what I've compiled here. As you can see. Again, it's there's a science to it almost. I feel a lot like Jimmy Johnson in the '90s. If you guys are football historians like me, you would know what I mean by that reference. I put together a hell of a draft to where I've not made one trade. This entire season. I've had a few offers. I put maybe one or two offers out there. Like I think I wanted to get Michael Pittman because I thought my receiving core was a bit suspect. So I wanted to strengthen that, and for whatever reason that trade didn't go through. I think he wanted, like I was trying to trade like Devin Singletary, and the guy wanted I think Damian Harris, which I had, I shut that down immediately. Obviously, if you guys watched last week, Damian Harris was one of the top running backs for week 7. So, you just gotta kind of know what's a good value and what's not. I mean, Michael Pittman's a great receiver, but I just don't fully trust the Colts offense. And then also because, again, running backs come at a premium, so I'm hanging on, for dear life. And also, just a little, insider scoop as well. Like, I'm very biased towards my draft picks. Like, I'm very hesitant to part ways with my savages, my guys that I drafted. Like, they're on the team for a reason. So, anyway, let me just go ahead and get into it. So, week 7, again, by Mageddon, as you can see, boom, 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 boom. Like, my top 4 guys on my bench, they're right there because they were off last week. And these are some pretty heavy hitters, Not to say, like, my op didn't have some heavy hitters on by as well. I'm looking here, I see Dalvin Cook, Keenan Allen. Those are his heavy hitters. I would say comparable to that, you will see my heavy hitters, Zeke and Amari. Now, how do they stack up? How do they compare? Well, I can just tell you right offhand, Zeke so far, through the first 7 weeks has been a much better fantasy running back than Dalvin Cook. And it's not to say Dalvin's like a scrub or anything, but Dalvin has actually missed a few games already so far this year, whereas Zeke has not missed a single game. I knew it. I told you guys, like, he hasn't missed a game due to injury. Ezekiel Elliott he's like the face of a savage. Like, he's the face of my savages right now. Like, that's what you want. You want a guy who's not going to miss a game and who, when he's in there, he's going to be top of the class. He's going to be dominant, So, again, how do they compare? Dalvin Cook actually was interesting when I was sort of researching for this video. So Dalvin Cook in my league went number 3 overall. He was the 3rd drafted. I think it was McCaffrey 1, which, you see how that panned out. And Derrick Henry number 2, and then I'm pretty sure Dalvin Cook was number 3, 3rd overall. And so, we could just kind of see his game log right here. I mean, he missed the game against Seattle and he missed the game against Detroit. And when he's been in there, it's been, passable. You can win with that. But how does it compare to Ezekiel Elliott, whom, and you see he was ranked 28th, whom I drafted right behind Dalvin Cook at pick number 4. How does Zeke compare to Dalvin Cook? Well, as you can see, he's ranked number 6 overall. He's just had a much more dominant season. You can see his game log here. You know, outside of that Tampa Bay game, it's been sunny skies for my man Zeke. You know, got the bye week, now it's refreshed, and ironically, they're going up against Minnesota in week 8. So we get to see Dalvin Cook and Zeke head to head, but that's been the head to head comparison so far. Again, I got him to pick right after at number 4, and so you can just see, you know, that's why it's important. You know, I put together such a masterful draft board, and I followed it to the T pretty much. And so, you know, again, you in the right place. You know, I got all the secrets, and as you can see, his second heavy hitter, Kenyan Allen, who's had a pretty good year. As you can see, he's ranked 34 at the wide receiver position. See his game log here, see what he's done. But then let's see where he was drafted though. You see here, 27th overall, pretty high. That would be like at the beginning of the 3rd round. So his 3rd draft pick, right? You see, he, like I said, those are his numbers. Let's get them again. Nothing just too outlandish, too eye-popping. The highest he had was 15 against Kansas City in week 3. And again, 34 overall. So how does his second heavy hitter who was on bye compare to my second heavy hitter who was on bye, which is Amari Cooper? Right? 26th at the wide receiver position. You know, you can see his game log. He had that monster week 1, and then he kind of fell off a little bit, which that was just because the Cowboys decided to focus on the run, you know, feature Ezekiel Elliott more. Obviously, they have CeeDee Lamb as well, so he's going to get his fair share. So he fell off for a couple weeks, and then he came right back, you know, with numbers that can get you a win. You know, not anything just outlandish, but, you know, again, that would make him 26th overall, which was better than, you know, my ops is Kenyan Allen, who was 34 overall. And then you see here, this is the factor, this is the key. I got him at 45th overall, which was, he was my 4th pick. Kenyan Allen would have been my ops 3rd pick, so as you can see, the value, you know, I would say I won on that. You see what I mean? Because I got basically more points, a better value at a cheaper price, so to speak. You know what I mean? I didn't have to, my draft capital that I spent for Amari wasn't as significant as what was spent for Kenyan Allen. So again, go watch the draft recap video. I break down how you really optimize each and every selection, but it really all comes down to you guys have to be able to properly assess. Look at my man, no smile, no games. He a savage too. You really got to be able to break down and properly assess their value. Not only isolate their individual value, but be able to project their value in terms of their role on their team. You know, how many targets, how many touches, how many carries are these guys going to get? You got to be able to accurately predict that. And you just got to know football, know schemes, know what these teams intend on doing week in and week out. And, you know, I do this. You know, so anyway, so you can just see there how, you know, my week 7 stacked up, how I was able to get that big win. Let's take a look at one more. So his 3rd heavy hitter probably would have been Marvin Jones, right? See, he's ranked 35, you know, overall at the wide receiver position. Really good production, I would say, so far. I would take it, absolutely. You know, he's good for Trevor Lawrence. I think he's probably going to be Trevor Lawrence's #1 target, honestly, moving forward. see here, he was drafted 118th overall. So you could just kind of see where his third heavy hitter was who was on bye. And I would say Zach Moss was probably my third heavy hitter. You see he's ranked 30th at his position at the running back spot in terms of fantasy football points. Again, and we can just look at his game log. He's had a really solid start to the season. He really benefits from that high-powered, high-flying Bills offense. Even though he's technically not the starter, Devin Singletary is. He tends to be the goal line back. He's the one in there when they get close to the red zone. So, again, very, very good, solid pick by me. Of course, I knew he'd come. And he was actually taken a bit higher, but, the return is also a bit higher in terms of the points and his impact on my team so far than my opposite's third hitter, which was Marvin Jones. So, just to kind of give you a look, these are guys I wanted to highlight, show you how I killed that draft, man. I can't stress it enough. And then, just to kind of talk about one more thing, he had Antonio Brown, who's a heavy hitter as well. He, just sort of kind of popped up on the injury list, so he had to go without AB as well. But I would say what kind of evens that out or cancels that out is like, dude, I've been having Julio just gimpy all season. Like, you know what I mean? Julio's been gimpy, Devontae Parker. I've had some injuries at my wide receiver position as well, to guys who I thought would be some heavy contributors. Even though they might not necessarily get the start, because I got D-Hop holding it down. Amari Cooper, they were on bye, but he's back, hopefully fresh and healthy. And I tend to want to use a running back at my flex because running backs, they get goal line opportunities when it gets close to the red zone. It's much easier to just hand it off. So, Kenyan Drake, I want to compare him to Chase Edmunds, and I'm going to get to why in a minute. So, Chase Edmunds, the reason why I wanted to compare him and Kenyan Drake, because I was doing some research and I noticed, before I get to where he was drafted, go up to, this is what was similar. Their rank in terms of fantasy football points at their position. And then come down here and look at, the game log. And so he's had a solid season. Don't get me wrong. Being ranked number 21 in terms of running backs, it's pretty decent. We saw, Zach Moss was comparable. But I wanted to highlight Chase Edmunds because look at the draft capital that he spent to get him, like 46th overall for that level of production for a 20th ranked running back. Like I got a couple of guys who I got well below that draft position, well below 46. Kenyan Drake, was obviously one of them. Kenyan Drake had 15.4 points last week. And then you can see his game log. Started off solid. And actually, I had to use him because early in the season, Josh Jacobs was hurt. And so, but then you see here, weeks 6 and 7, two big games. I didn't use him week 6, I don't think. He slipped by me on that Denver game. The first game without Gruden. That whole offense really turned up. And then they kept it rolling here in week 7, which I kind of figured, like this would help me get through quote unquote buy Mageddon. So, I went ahead and put him in there, and it paid dividends. And honestly, quite honestly, I'm like 3-0 when I put Kenyan Drake in when I start him. Just a little fun fact right there. So, yeah, man. And so his numbers are, again, comparable to Chase Edmunds, but look at the draft capital. Look at where I got him. All the way down here at 93rd overall, which honestly was looking like a reach at first because it didn't look like his production would even justify that, but now it's looking like, man, another great value, another great pick. So anyway, that's just kind of, I wanted to review week 7, and then real quick, before I get out of here, I want to just go, and show my, see if I can find it. As you can see, these are the season stats so far. Sitting at the top, getting lonely up here. But this is not actually what I was looking for. I'm just trying to find my schedule. Just to show you, how it's lined up so far, man. So here we are, week 1. We got the dub. Barely. There's a lot of fugazi stuff going on week 1. Would Josh Jacobs play? Would he not? And that kind of messed up my lineup. But so week 2, we got the dub, of course. Wasn't really that difficult. The week 1 was much closer, but again, I had a lot of points on my bench because I didn't play Josh Jacobs. I played Kenyan Drake, but he did just enough, to eke out that win. But that one was a lot closer than it should have been. And, week 2, obviously. Week 3, that was my lone loss. Shout out to the boy Gary. Look at this number, though. It's like it took a perfect storm, for this to happen. That was like the game where the Chargers just, went up there and just did whatever they wanted against the Chiefs. He had Herbert and Mike Williams. And we didn't stand a chance that week. Another thing I want to point out about week 1, why my score is so low, because even though I had the Josh Jacobs issue, that was also, if you guys remember, Aaron Rodgers, who was my quarterback, scored like 1 freaking fantasy point. So even if he does average, that number is much higher. So anyway, and then, week 4, we come back right here, get the victory. Week 5, 113. My points they steadily increased. This is what I'm kind of getting to. 119. Week 6. Just leaving a trail of bodies in my path. And then week 7, we scored our highest output again with on a lot of my heavy hitters on bye week. So my team's really just cranking it up right now. Really hitting our stride. Again, you guys really need to go support, man. I'll give you guys all types of inside scoops and tips. Check out the Waiver Wednesday videos. I've pretty much hit on pretty much all the guys who I've highlighted on those. You know, it's a wave, man. That's all I can say, man. It's a wave. I know a lot of people are slow to catch the wave. A lot of people, that's why we live in a society of followers, you know? But obviously I'm a leader, I'm the trendsetter, so. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video, man. Again, y'all smash the like button, man. Really support your boy. I mean, come on now. You know, how could you not? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna chunk up the deuce to y'all, man. Shout out to Edmunds, man. Let me get out of here. Y'all smash the like button. If you want to donate to the channel, hit the links. Check y'all on the next one.